record. And there we go. Serenity wins. We're so happy it's Sunday and it's Serenity wins. Oh no, it's any day really because you're listening to this on YouTube, so really it doesn't matter. We're just really happy. Hey, everybody. I never get bored of that. I don't know why. I never get bored of that. I guess eventually we have like some really cool. Oh, my glasses look crooked. Hey, I don't know what's going on. My glasses are crooked. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to another edition of Serenity Wins. As I knock the camera with my leg, I'm kind of graduating now. I got a longer desk now. I have like stuff on this side, and I got stuff on this side. So I got really the camera like right in the middle. Of course, we have the folks on TikTok. Folks, that's a big word. I got like, and for some reason, my camera on TikTok is like all blurry. I don't know what's going on with there, but anyway, so we'll adjust that. Hey, if you have more cameras to put on me, why not? I'm really excited about today's show. Why? I don't know. You know, I do it once. I don't know. I do it once, maybe twice. You know, I do it once a week, and I when I do Christopher Walken, I don't go yippity yappity. So as you can tell, I've been working on my impression, studying, I guess somewhat, and but that's not why I'm excited. I'm just happy because you know what? I realized doing the show once a week, I miss it. Like when I'm doing this show, I have a great time. I really do. And it's just I get a lot of fun. I get a lot out of this. So I'm really happy. So I hope you guys get a lot out of it too. And we'll get right into it. So today's episode is number 19. And remember, this is a podcast, so you're supposed to be listening to it and not watching it. Although you could be watching it, that's also good too. But you know, if you're listening to it, that means that you're out there doing something, and I'm somewhere in the background, which is completely good with me because it means that you can listen to me more often. So here we go. My show is about having the courage to transform my life when I almost lost everything. Perhaps an inspiration to some, a warning to others. This weekly true life experiment might help a codependent, be it alcohol, drugs, video games, food, or even sex. Oh, James. Struggling to survive with friends like Batman, Trump, and Vilnoosh, our savvy tech guru from Sri Lanka. Thank you very much. We're sure to always keep it down to earth and fun. But when Trump, Christopher Walken, Batman, or Sean Conery show up on the podcast, all bets are off. That same imaginative drive that brought me to drinking for over 20 years is now part of my recovering process. So why not invite POTUS, Batman, and James Bond? Oh, James, on my podcast. Join us as we laugh, smile, and ponder at life's mysteries, chuckle our failures, and rejoice our aha moments, and wonder, what's life next big reveal? A crazy date? A past life romantic encounter? An illicit, illegal, sexually charged proposal? Who knows? So keep on listening. Well, thanks for watching and sharing. We're on Serenity Wins on YouTube with a Z. That's right, Serenity Wins with a Z. We also got a Facebook page, so if you want to like and click on that, that's great. Of course, the people on TikTok now, you're watching me. Awesome. Share, do all those yada, yada, yada things that people do. I'm all for that. And let's get right into it. We always start off with the Serenity Prayer. So, dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change those that I can, and the wisdom to understand the difference between both. Wow. Those are, I mean, I say that like maybe 2, 3 times a day, sometimes more, but on average 2 or 3 times a day. And it's always like, it's so powerful. And of course, we got to get into our official. This podcast is not at all associated, sponsored, or affiliated with any nonprofit or organization such as Alcoholics Anonymous. That's right. This puppy is all about me. It's all in my head, and it comes out through a microphone, and you guys get to hear it. And now we are sponsored by cruiserway.ca. With the promo code SWD10, you will receive a 10% discount online for Canadian shoppers only. That's right. So when you go to cruiserway.ca, that's CRUSOE.ca, and you do your shopping there, you just, in the shopping cart, there's going to ask you, do you have a promo code? And you go, as a matter of fact, I do. And you put SWD10 for a 10% discount online. And someone, I said this to someone and said, well, 10%, that's not a lot. Well, it's better than a kick in the head, if you got to know the truth. I'm pretty much about that. Also, today, I did some of my homework. Hey, welcome on TikTok. Yeah, keep on tapping that screen. I did some of my homework. I mentioned a few episodes ago I was going to talk about the I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King. So today I actually did some homework, and I went and I read it. And it's a great speech. If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, I invite you to read it. This man was ahead of his time and so on the money. And so my whole concept was about how the word dream has a tendency to slow us down because it's something that's unreachable. It's a dream. And so in his famous speech where he's, I have a dream, I was thinking, well, what if he had replaced the word dream with one, maybe the words that I like to use, like a vision, a direction, a plan. And although in theory, especially when I said it 2 or 3 episodes ago, it made sense, I understand now that based on the times that they were living in, he couldn't have used any other word. I mean, he might have. And so I actually went and I got the speech, and I have it right here. And so I want to read some of it, probably the most famous lines, and then we'll read it again, and I'll see if I could switch in a word or two. All right, here we go. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, with its vicious racist, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. All right, so that was like just a small chunk, because it's a really long speech. And so if I was to replace I have a dream with I have a vision, right? Back then, like this was back in 1963, people would be like, well, who are you to have a vision? Plus, he was also like, obviously segregation was an intense moment. So it might have freaked out too many people. They might have gone, well, hold on a second, a vision. And of course, if you were to use the word direction, that probably would have went by smoother. I have a direction that my 4 little, yeah, but it wouldn't have made any sense. I have a direction that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, so besides describing a dream when you have at night, and perhaps Martin Luther King's speech, which I'm not about to start editing, although I just attempted to, you can use the word dream. But if you're talking about something that you want to do, I strongly suggest that you avoid the word dream. Well, I'm glad I got that out of the way. So did we. You're crazy. All right. So now let's go back to what we were doing here. So Um, I'm just all over the place. It's just insane. So today, I also want to talk. I know I normally talk about the artist of the week, which is really a lot of fun to talk about. And this week, oddly enough, I didn't mean. Remember you from. Anyway, I used to. It's funny how people get like really stupid on TikTok sometimes. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I send you lots of love, my friend. Love and humility and courage. Courage to go and figure out the things that you need to figure out. So I didn't meet an artist this week, but I did go to my. There's actually a farm that they deliver their produce, like right around 2 blocks from where I am, and it's like organic, fresh foods. And I really wanted to give a shout out to them because I'm so happy that I can, coming back from my client, I can just stop and pick up some fresh produce. And they have like, onions and lettuce and tomatoes and all these vegetables. And every time it's like it's different. So the name of their farm is called Les Dérangés, right? The deranged, which makes sense if you think about it, because you got to be deranged to have a farm, because clearly the world is people are always like complaining about prices and they want to like buy less expensive food, but in the end you're actually you're losing out. Your health is something that you never should like think about. Oh, you know what, I'm going to save on my health here and there. No, eat organic fresh produce because it's good for you. And so Les Dérangés, it's a little farm here in Saint Adèle on in the Mont Roland area, and I've been picking their fresh produce now for since the beginning of the summer. As soon as they open, bam, I'm there. So if you happen to be in the area and you want some fresh produce, lettuce, they have eggs too. I forgot to ask for the eggs last time because they don't like put it out there, but they're like, if you want eggs, you just ask for it. And I'm like, do. So shout out to Les Dérangés and the fresh produce. Because to me, spending that extra money on my health is non-negotiable. All right. Drum roll. I've been practicing too. Does it show? No. It's hard because I'm like further away from my drum kit. It's a practicing pad, but we'll see. This is episode number 19, right? So if by episode, I don't know, let's say 30, and then you're like, whoa. All right. And I noticed also last time when I was doing some special effects, the Zoom application tended to like mute me. So hopefully this time that's not going to happen, because I was trying to do a ratchet sound, and then when I watched the playback, thank you for that. I don't even know what that is, but thanks. When I was watching the playback of last week's episode, like when I'm trying to do a ratchet sound, actually this is a better sound than I did last time. Well, on the Zoom video, it clearly was just muting. So there I am, just looking like an idiot, twisting things around. So, but this time I made sure to remove that. So hopefully it'll be the original sound, and it's going to hear. No, it's not. It's. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Okay. So today's topic. Well, at least the first topic. I mean, if I rant on and we talk for 40 minutes or 50 minutes, then it'll just be the topic. But I got a backup topic just in case. So it's something that I started doing like not even 2 weeks ago, and I'm already witnessing the power behind it. And I think that since my show is about my journey as a recovering alcoholic, and it's also there to help out others who may be struggling, who may be suffering. You know, you don't always suffer with people around you. Most people don't even know that you suffer, right? I hear more and more stories about alcoholics that when they were suffering, they would, it's not the big woohoo party and get drunk with a whole bunch of people. No, they just literally they close the shades and they're just in their home by themselves and they are drinking by themselves and they just they shrivel up into a little ball and a depression takes over and sometimes a really dark cloud takes over them, which is something that happens. There's a reality there. So, you don't always see in a person's face how they are. So make sure that if you know someone who's suffering, you never know. Ask them to listen to the podcast. Maybe this one can make a difference. I say maybe, and at the same time, I want to practice humility as I've been doing for the last few weeks. And I'm going to share, not in order to boast myself, more to say how you never know where a difference can come from. So I have one member, a new member, a young member, who's been now listening to the podcast for a few weeks. And this week, he actually asked me to sponsor him. And that to me is a great honor. I'm quite nervous about it, to tell you the truth. Mr. K, I am nervous about that just because I want to make sure that I do the right things. And it's not like I have experience. I've been doing this for 10 years and I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't. I'm just going along. And he said to me that he had been listening to my podcast now for quite a few weeks, and he likes how I speak and the things that I say, and it resonates with him. And he asked me, based on that, to be his sponsor, which is a tremendous honor. I will do everything I can to be there for Mr. K. That's what I'm going to call him, Mr. K. And one of the first things I told him today, I said, look, I can't predict the future. I just want us to be upfront with each other. And if one day, for whatever reason, it doesn't work, you don't feel it, you just tell me. We're not bound together for life. We're going on this journey together. I'm there accompanying him, and we'll take it from there. So, all this to say that maybe the podcast could also not necessarily have someone else ask me to sponsor. That's not my goal. My goal is simply to say that maybe by listening to this podcast, you can help out someone who is suffering due to, over drinking or over whatever it is, overeating, over drinking, over sexing, gambling. It doesn't matter. When we're in that state of mind where we're obsessed and we need distraction more than the average person, there's clearly a message there that we're not listening to. So that's why this podcast matters so much to me, because I was there, and I'm not saying that I'm cured. I can't say I'm not an alcoholic anymore, or, I got it all now. I got it figured out. No. You always have to remind yourself, because it doesn't take much for the ego to start flying on its own and go, oh, you know what? I think I got an idea. Now that you're doing a podcast and that a whole bunch of people are watching you and you're confident, I think you should go and celebrate on a terrace. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You know what? As your ego, I think you should probably go to one nightclub, a classy one, and kind of walk around and feel confident and make, eye contact. And I'm like, no, that's like the worst idea possible. So by reminding ourselves every day that we do have some deficiencies. We got a fish and cheese. You got the fish and cheese. I got the fish and cheese. Where did the fish and cheese go? I don't know. The fish and the cheese, they go somewhere. I don't know. Déficience, des déficiences mentales. Deficiencies. I can't even pronounce the word. Deficiencies. Where's the fish in the seas? The fish in seas. I got to stop this. All right. So, the topic. Did I even mention the topic? I don't even think I mentioned the topic. How do we pray? That's what I've been doing for the last few weeks. I've begun praying. And it wasn't easy at first. The first time I actually kneeled on my bed, at the foot of my bed, I had a lot of emotions that kind of just began stirring up inside because, first of all, I don't even think I ever prayed before. And then the whole concept of it was almost like a meditation. And at one point I was like, I could probably get into this. And then the following thought was, why didn't I do this earlier? And then finally the thought that really dropped on my head was like, because I never felt that the people who were telling me to pray when I was younger, right? Adults and parents and friends of parents, I never felt that I can trust these people. And then that really got me into a small sadness, which I lived through. You know, I had a bit of humidity in the corner of my eye. And, but then once I let go of that and I forgave myself and I forgave everyone involved, I was actually in that moment where I was incommunicado with my higher self, with JD, and then it felt good. So, how often do you pray? Do you even pray, right? And it's funny that I'm saying this because clearly, 3-4 years ago, I would have been the last person you'd be saying, you're going to be talking on the show, you're going to have a podcast, and now you're going to start talking about prayer. I'd be like, ha, ha, me talk about prayer? You got to be nuts. And here I am, drinking water and talking about prayer. Yeah, why do I talk about prayer? Well, the show's called Serenity Wins, and serenity is peace, right? It's balance. It's balanced peace. And I heard something really nice today in our conference speaker. I'll call her Mrs. C. That's right. Now I'm going to give letters. I asked them. I said, "Is it all right if I call you Mrs. C?" She's like, "Yeah, fine. It's all good." And she was talking about her journey, and then she was saying how she has no problem with her deity or whatever you want to call it, her higher self, to be invisible. And she explained it beautifully, really beautifully. And I want to try to attempt to recreate. All right, if you're watching on YouTube, now might be the time for you to just look at the screen. If you're watching on TikTok, definitely keep watching. So she goes, imagine this is what our definition of God is, right? And this is something you could see. As you could see, I'm holding a piece of paper, right? So we could see it. So whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's a cat, whether it's your car, anything that you could see, right? So she's like this, and she says, well, imagine this is God, and we can see it. And then suddenly, it's gone, right? Because you could see it. She literally crumbled a piece of paper in front of all of us, and then a piece of paper was like, it's gone. She said, well, what happens there? Then your God just died, right? So whether you see it in your cat, when your cat dies, you're like, oh my God, the God died. If you see it in your car and your car's like busted up. So the fact that it's invisible, we know it's ongoing. And it's amazing because I had never taken the time to see it as such. I had never taken the time to see the wisdom in the fact, right? Everyone's like, oh, I have to see the God for me to believe in him. You know, what was it, Thomas? Thomas who had to see for himself or something like that. One of those guys. Anyways. But the fact that it is invisible and it's omnipotent and it's everywhere. And, you know, like she also said, when you go outside and you see the trees and then it's the fall, and the leaves fall, and then the winter happens, and then the branches have no leaves, and then the springtime, and then every all of that is controlled somehow. I'm not controlling it. Are you controlling it? Are you controlling it on TikTok? Is TikTok controlling the leaves? Of course not. So that's the higher self. And so the example that, if it was something we could see, eventually there'd kind of be an expiring date on it, right? We can see it, and at one point it's going to disappear. But the fact that it's invisible, and she made it a point too that it's according to how you define it, how you see it, and that is the important thing. So I really liked her example, and it really resonated with me. And to me, praying is the same thing. It's about kind of connecting with the invisible and saying, hey, by the way, can you help me out with this? Or can you help out another person, right? Because we can pray for ourselves, which is something that I do, but we can also pray for others, which is also something that I've been doing. And I think the reason why I've also been praying for others is because through the meditations that I do, the disconnection, as I describe it, allows others to be taken care of. I don't know how to explain it exactly in words, but that's how I see it. It's a matter of you stop only caring about yourself. You stop looking at, your belly button, and you start to think and ponder and send love. You start to love others. That's how I would describe it. And I know you're going, oh, here he goes talking about love again. Love, it's good. It's a good emotion. It means you care. You want something. And so, when you love, you're doing it for yourself. Yeah, okay. All right. We're working on it. Could you guess who that was? Did you? All right. And I remember another member had said, when I talk about God, especially when I'm talking in front of you folks in this conference, I'm going to use the word love. And I remember that really touched a nerve with me. I was like, oh, yeah, love. Because isn't that what our gods are all about? They're about love, right? The more we love ourselves, the more we respect ourselves, the more we forgive ourselves, the more good things happen to us. And that's the power of prayer. And although I'm far from being an expert, because I can't say that I've been praying for the last 10 years. I really just started 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've already seen signs. I've already seen little winks of the universe going, hey, we're listening. We're not there yet, but we're listening. And so they throw me, they put on my path little nuggets that I'm like, wow. And I have no other explanation, because it's like, I'll give you an example. As many of you know, as I've been sharing on this podcast, I have a vision. I have a vision. I have a plan. I do want to leave the province of Quebec. I don't need to go into details of why, and no, it has nothing to do with the CIA, the mafia, or anything like that. I need to do my next move. And I had given myself 5 years, and there's about 2 years left in that negotiation, that deal. And hey, everyone on TikTok, I'm still there. I'm just kind of talking, so just maybe I should move the camera closer so it'll be like, yeah, he's talking to us also. All right. So the deal is, within the 5 years when I had said this, which was about, 3 years ago, 5 years from now, I'm heading out west. and I didn't really do much about it so far. I'm not like busy like looking at job applications or where am I going to work or this or that or even plane tickets, how much it costs and all. I've not really done none of that, to tell you frankly. And this week, we have a lift at the shop, at my client's shop, and it needed a little tune up. And so a technician came over, very cool guy, and we were talking. And at one point, he mentions that he was out west, and then due to his wife, he came here. And I said, really? And he's like, yeah. And then, of course, so I shared with him my idea, and then we started talking. We obviously, it was at my client's place, so I couldn't stop. But, we talked maybe 2-3 minutes. And then he even gave me his number. He said, hey, give me a call anytime you want, man. I'll ask, I'll answer any questions. Now that, to me, I mean, literally, it was literally a door delivery. I'm there at my clients taking care of orders and whatnot, inventory. This guy comes in just to fix the lift, take care of it. We start talking. We strike up a conversation. Next thing you know, he's talking to me about all the greatness in Alberta. And I'm like, whoa. And then I asked him, I said, well, can I have, he says, yeah, take my number down. So if that's not Providence, I don't know what is. I do know that during the week, I did have a prayer. I did pray, and I did ask for JD, as I like to refer to him, give me some signs. Now, if there's a sign to be had, clearly someone walking into the shop and striking a conversation about all the job possibilities out there out west, that's gotta be. It's more than just a coincidence, And it wasn't just the conversation. It was also the vibe that we had. There was like, I mentioned past lives every now and then. And who knows, maybe he's from a past life. And here's the funniest thing, too. As he is driving away after he services and he's got to come back for parts, as he's driving away, he's about to turn onto the 117. He literally hits into a ditch, and the truck freaking, if you're on YouTube listening, now's the time to watch. The truck goes into the ditch like this, the two wheels back in the air, and the front wheel like, I'm like, what just happened? So I run to my truck, back it up. I'm about to like pull out my straps and pull him out. And then suddenly he takes it off on the four, and he just puts it on two-wheel drive, and he backs up. And then you see the back just kind of landing back on the grass, and then But that in itself was an event that was like, there was an anchor there. It was like, hey, don't forget about me. Bam, as a truck, So, and I had a couple of other examples too. I remember I said live restricted for some audiences. Okay, whatever. TikTok is like saying, yeah, you're not allowed to say that. Consuming substances featured in this live could harm your... No kidding. I'm about the whole concept of not consuming. TikTok is like way behind, or like there's like a warning that says, consuming substance featured in this live could harm your health. I'm not could. It definitely did. I'm just saying to you TikTok folks. Anyway, so getting back to that. And so during the week, I said, oh, you know what? If you happen to be around, give me a sign about just anything, whatever. Yeah. And so I had a meeting on Tuesday night to take care of some stuff with the association, because now I've graduated. I don't know if graduate is the right term, but I'm servicing even more. I'm now becoming what's called a service general representative. Anyways, it's called RSG, le représentant des services généraux. And so every group has one person that kind of manages and runs, but is not really there to run, because obviously we have volunteers and whatnot. But then once a month, you have to go into a meeting and meet other RSGs, and then you all talk and you share and blah. It's like a big machine, actually. And as I'm driving, did I just knock my nose in the mic? You got a big nose. You're just big. I'm just saying, I might have knocked my nose in the microphone. No one saw. It's not a big deal. And there's O, and she's like, "Do-do-do-do-do." Well, she's not do-do-do-do. She's like, do-do-do-do. She's not. No, she's not even do. She's like, do-do-do. She's walking. Yeah, she's do, but she's not do-do-do-do-do, and she's not do-do-do-do-do. She's more like do-do-do-do. And I see her, and I'm like, whoa, what are the odds of that? So put the truck in park, reverse, and then she seemed, and I had just gotten a haircut, and she's like, oh. So I don't know what that reaction was, but I could tell that she had a challenging day, to say the least. Anyways, I couldn't stay and talk, so obviously I drove off and went out. But still, what are the odds of me seeing her that day that I talked to my JD and I said, yo, put me a sign. And and then there are other signs too. And I can't name everyone. And the goal is not about naming, because obviously it's not about, oh, I saw and this and that. It's simply about I'm understanding that there's a lot of goodness that comes from praying. And as I learn to pray, and as I pray more for myself, yes, obviously I count, but also for others, I'm also seeing the dividends that are showing up. And that to me is something, and that's why I wanted to do this episode, or at least this topic. I don't know if it's a full episode yet, although we're at 40 minutes now. Are we at 40 minutes, or are we at we're at 40 minutes of the recording, or we're 40 minutes of the taping? That's a meeting duration. Meeting duration. Yeah, okay. So how do we pray, right? All right, so we figured out that we want to pray. Praying is good. We like praying. Well, I like to pray. I pray the Lord. I see the light. All right. You can pray anywhere, anytime, anyhow. Praying is about putting ourselves in the state of mind where we allow ourselves to have a form of connection with something we don't even understand. And so I mentioned how I like to now, put a little mattress, my yoga mat, so my knees don't chafe, at the foot of my bed in the morning, or sometimes before I go to bed. But, you could be sitting. I could literally be praying right now in this position. You could be driving. You could be driving. Ideally, you're in park, because you're not driving. You're in park, because if your eyes are closed, you don't want to be in the driving mode. You want to be in the park mode. You could be in your car. Let's put it that way. You could be in your car. You could be in your truck. You could be in your pickup truck. You could be in a truck. You could be in a car. You could be in a vehicle. You could be in a boat. You could be wherever you want. You can just, And that sound like, I don't know. Oh, my phone is ringing. My phone is ringing. Why is my phone? Who is calling me right now? Who's calling me right now? Oh, Jasmine is calling me. This is funny. Hey! What up? I'm in live mode, darling. So, C'est quand que tu en as besoin? Ça devrait. Je pensais que tu m'avais dit que tu les avais. Mais je pensais que tu avais dit que tu les avais. OK. Fait que c'est ça. C'est pas moi qui avais oublié. C'est toi qui m'avais dit que tu avais tout. Puis, OK. I feel better. Euh, ouais, parce que tu m'avais dit qu'il y avait, que c'était pas nécessaire. Fait que. Ah, OK. I misunderstood. Ah, mais je les ai pas avec moi. I don't have the straps with me right now. Sure. Uh, I'm going to my client on Tuesday. So, Tuesday. Y a-tu quelqu'un qui est proche de Sainte-Anne-des-Lacs? Because you can even drop by the. I can't believe I'm talking live. I mean, it's funny. It's funny. I'm talking to the people there, and I'm talking to you, and like, because I always wanted live interaction. So here it is. Here's a live interaction. I don't know if they can actually hear what you're saying if the microphone's picking that up, but hey, welcome to another live caller. Hey, Jasmine, what's your question right now? No, this is good. This is like interaction. This is like you never know where Serenity Winds is going to bring you. And maybe I can actually have people saying, "Hey, why don't you call and we can do a live or whatever." I don't know. And right now, I'm wondering if you're and then and then I have the other people on TikTok. I don't know if the camera's picking all that up, but anyways, yeah, we'll definitely work it. Appelle-moi demain, puis on va arranger ça. On va arranger ça. Je te dis, je ne crois pas que ça va être un défi. Je ne pense pas que mon client va en avoir de besoin samedi. Puis, probablement que oui, je vais les avoir mercredi, puis on pourrait venir les chercher en avance. Sounds good? Bye, darling. Cheers. Wow. Talk about interaction right there. I don't know if you guys heard that on the video, and I don't even know if the people on TikTok are still there. That's another question right there, because I had to kind of get to the camera. What does it do? Is it still there? Are you still there? I think maybe they got all of that. I don't know. So that was actually kind of cool, oddly enough. Maybe that's how I can get people interacting. I'm curious. It was a friend, and she had asked me to borrow some straps from my client, and I think it's going to be all good. And I was under the impression that the person I was helping her move had, because she sent me a text, so she goes, but I think he was just talking about, not a forklift. How do you call those things? A truck, un diable. On appelle ça, en français, on appelle ça un diable. En tout cas, so he's got a diable. And a dolly. Yeah, a dolly. It's called the dolly. The dolly. It's called the dolly. Okay. And I don't know why. I just kind of answered now because I figured, why not answer? So maybe that was the universe saying, hey, you never know. So all this about praying, it's not where you do it. It's not even how you do it. In the sense that what counts about the prayer is the intention. What is your intention behind this prayer? Are you asking your higher self, whatever you decide to call it, however you relate to it? Are you asking for signs? Are you asking it for, answers? Are you asking it for clarity? If you're praying for someone else, are you praying for their health? Are you praying for their mental state? I know that I pray a lot for O, because we're talking about her when she's ready to join the meeting, because she's already deducing that drinking is not her thing in the sense that sometimes she loses it. Uh, and it's not my job to tell a person when it's time to stop. But when they do decide, when they do take the action, that's when other alcoholics, the whole movement, the fellowship, the brotherhood, if you want to call it, is there to help. And one of the things that we have is called the responsibility prayer. And I'm going to translate it in English because obviously we're doing a podcast in English. We're doing a podcast in English. And it goes a little something like this. It's, I am responsible if someone somewhere holds out a hand for help. I want the hand of the AA to be there to help them, and for that I am responsible. And if I was to translate that in French, or how I hear it in French, is Je suis responsable si quelqu'un quelque part tend la main en quête d'aide. Je veux que celle des AA soit toujours présente, et de cela je suis responsable. Bam, right? So praying for someone is actually also a good thing to do. So you could pray for others. And I also want to throw in a little bit of a personal hint. Especially in movies, you'll often see the image of someone praying for someone else or praying for themselves when things are dire, when things are not going well. Man, does that prayer machine kick in. Well, I want to share with you, it's all right to also pray when things are going well. It's all right to say thank you and to have gratitude and to say, hey, JD, thanks for that. JD, thanks for that live call with Jasmine. That was really cool. I don't know how it's going to sound on the podcast when I listen to it, but to me, that was like a live interaction, and that was kind of cool. So praying when things are going well is also a good thing. It's not just about praying for the help, for the assistance. It's also about praying for having more of that. And I think that's why I named the show Serenity Wins. And I want to be careful of what I'm going to say and how it's going to come across. The more we are into the program, the more we begin to manage our life properly, the more nice things begin to happen. And so when you start getting more and more nice things, you want to make sure that now this is like your natural humming frequency. It's a higher frequency and it's humming, and I don't know. I don't know what the sound would be like. It's like, okay, it's not a beatbox. I definitely know it's not a beatbox. It's a nice humming, resonating sound. And so instead of being happy, and every time something good happens, then you become happier, and then another thing happens, and then you become happier, and then at one point you're so happy because you got all these great things that you're happy, but then the moment something not good happens, you're like, you're going to go down at the same velocity of how much you are happy. Therefore, by remaining serene, so you allow the good things to happen, and instead of being taken over by that wave, you just kind of, you're breathing it, you're surfing it. You're like, all right, it's all good. I'm like, like Matthew McConaughey. It's all good. All right, all right, all right. We're just gonna be here and surf our way. Okay, I suck at Matthew McConaughey. I know it. I'm starting to do Christopher when I do Christopher Walken. I don't go, hey, ho, God, I need more cowbells. Hey, oh. I mean, I do, but I keep it low. I keep it quiet. Now you're going, hey, didn't you just say that at the opening? And the truth is, yeah, because I'm practicing it, so I'm practicing the same speech over and over. Isn't that what life's about? Practicing until we get it good. So I'm praying and I'm practicing the prayer every time. Now I have to, I shouldn't say I have to, I have now the honor of sponsoring someone else, so I have to practice at it. Practice is a great thing. I don't know where in the decade or the last 2 decades someone said, you don't need to practice anymore. Now you just need to find a way to do it once and do it good and then repeat that over and over and over. You know, the whole concept of rehearsing and practicing, it's so important because it registers inside of us. It also goes into our subconscious mind and we're like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. When I go in front and I have to share, whether it's welcoming the newcomer, which, by the way, I was talking with Chris, and he said, yeah, you could talk. And very cool member, by the way. And he said, I think it's called welcoming the newcomer. Before I get up and I stand up and I walk to the microphone, I actually, in the morning when I'm at home, I rehearse what I'm going to say. I practice because I've learned in business, before any important meeting, you always rehearse and practice because it's important. So when I have to go in front and greet the newcomer, I don't know what I'm going to say. I always, as I'm walking towards, and I'm repeating myself, I know, but if you're the first time listening to the show, I'm not repeating myself. As I walk over to the microphone, I always say, JD, just let the words flow through me, whatever, while I've already done some of the homework, because when I was at home, I was like, okay, what can I say? What can I? And so rehearsing is important. Practicing, getting it where it becomes natural. Like, obviously, I'm taking drumming classes, right? Yeah, that's like... All right. We're not here to take a drumming class. We're here to hear what Serenity Winds has to say. And it's pivotal, it's essential to just do something over and over and over. And praying is the same thing. So if I do it once in the morning and then once at night, then I'm doing it twice a day. So that means in a week, if I do it every day, I will have done it 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, good. So then you multiply that by 4. Whoa, hold on. 14 times 4, 40, 16. That's 56. All right, so in a month, I will have done it 56 times. And then you multiply that by 10. That's 560. Then you add 2 more. It's a lot. It's like 600 times. Now, do I do it every day, twice a week? No. Maybe sometimes I'll just do it once, or maybe one day I'll skip it, but it doesn't matter. And then the more you also do it, the more you're like, you know what, I'm in the truck now. I could pray, or I could just have a conversation with me and JD. We're by ourselves. And down the road, I'd love to be able to have this conversation with JD with my woman next to me in the truck. And she's listening in. And maybe she's putting in a few things. Not like, you got to be careful where you drive. But she's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah. Because at that moment, when 2 people get together and they start to pray, it's amazing how much power and velocity that energy creates. And then imagine if you're in a full room. And you're like, whoa. And here I am talking about prayer. So why am I talking about prayer? Because prayer is a personal connection to whatever deity you choose. They say whatever you choose, as you conceive him, her, it, whatever. And it's far from being religious. If it's religious, I'm out of there. I'm like, eh. And it's funny because as I became the RSG, R-E-S-P-V-P. Oh, no, the RSG, the représentant de services généraux. And so one of the responsibilities, I take care of the Friday group. I have to open the hall. Now, we used to be in the church basement. Bam. But now, because they got some elections or something going on, they're like, you can't use the election room downstairs, the hall. You got to go up. They're like, okay, where do we go? So now, this is the ironic part. I am opening, they call it the sacristy. So it's the room where the priests, they do their whole woody thing before they get into the church. Like it's like the backstage. It's like the green room of the church, you know. So they go to church and then they do and then everybody stand up and sit down and stand up and sit down. Well, before they get into that church, when they actually have a little back room. So now we're having our meetings in that back room, and here I am, accompanied by statues, by pictures of Jesus, by and I'm the guy that's got to open that. It's like, you would have told me this like 4 years ago or even 10 years ago or whatever. You said, one day you're going to be opening that church there. And I'm like, no, come on. You must be crazy. And this is exactly what I'm doing. So it's just crazy how things kind of turn full circle at one point and you don't even know it. And that's why I say that the prayer is far from being a religious thing. Because if it was a religious thing, I wouldn't be doing it. It's a spiritual thing. And the spiritual does not need a definition. Whatever each person associates it, that's what counts. They don't even need to share it. Oh, TikTok's asking me to do the puzzle thing. Here we go. One finger on the phone, bam. All right. Of course, I have been talking to people on TikTok, and I don't think that the people on TikTok have been watching me, but you know what? That's all right. It happens. Jasmine was there. That's totally cool. Yeah, so I want to make clear for those of you watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, you will rarely hear me talking about religion. For me, religion, based on the Latin word religare, which is to be bounded, right? Religare. Oh, that's a good close-up now. See, because now Zoom is like doing all these special close-ups, and I don't control that anymore. So all this to say that I will talk a lot about spirituality. I will talk more and more about praying, not in a boring, mundane way, but just in the how it makes me feel, right? Because this podcast is about my journey, but how it may also make you feel and the benefits that you can get from it. And in this particular episode was all about prayer, but I mean, obviously and I didn't even had a chance to bring Batman or Sean Conery. I don't know where they are. They're not there for some reason. Probably because I'm so busy working on Christopher Walken. It's not easy having many, like, going, oh, wow, crazy up and down in my head. You can't have, and then Batman shows up. You can't have all that. You gotta choose, right? So right now I'm working on Christopher, and then Batman, maybe the next episode he'll pop up. I don't know. So I realize now on my timer that I am close to the hour because my timer's saying an hour, and I think I started the recording about maybe 3 minutes later. So I'm going to say that we've talked quite a bit about the topic, and so let's close the show. Let's close the show. And if I was to talk about one of the program steps, let's talk about number 12, because it's very related to what I went through today. So step number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, and when they say these steps, they mean all the first 11 steps, we carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs, right? So it says tried, but obviously I've deleted the word try, and we carry this message. You know what? I'm even going to delete it here. Boom. We carry And of course, if someone from AA says, hey, you deleted that word, it's supposed to be there. But yeah, but I'm not officially sponsored by AA, right? You know that. So we carry the message. And so when you're tasked with, accompanying a newcomer, that's part of the 12 steps. All right. So, and let's finish as usual with, well, let's start off with, do I do the serenity prayer? I'm always like wondering, should I finish with that or the sponsor? Does anyone really? All right, let's do the serenity prayer. Dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change, the courage to change those that I can, and the wisdom to understand the difference between both. Yeah. This podcast is not sponsored, associated, or affiliated with any official nonprofit organizations such as Alcoholic Anonymous. And hey, if you do it well, do it for the self. Do it with respect for the all. Do it with the intention of humanity's love. Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. We're at Serenity Wins with a Z on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page if you want. We surely appreciate some clicking on there. And I think I also have like an Instagram page. Got to work on all these things. Everybody, it's been fun. It's been great. And I'll see you on our next episode, which will probably be in a few days from now. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching.